Welcome to the basic linguistic information about the various areas of language analysis, part 1. In this case, I'll explain the language analysis areas for English, but each language will have a similar introduction in their respective language. All languages in the world consist of different levels of analysis. In this MOOC, we will use various icons to give practical examples of the language. Sometimes the example highlights one area, but you will notice that in most cases, various areas of language play a role. Pay attention to the various icons that will appear on the top right-hand corner of these slides. On the next slide, we will introduce each level of analysis by means of a separate icon. Now we'll start with the area of phonology. Phonology is the study of sounds. You can see that the icon is an ear. An example of how the phonology area comes forward in the classroom is when teaching vowels and consonants in English. Here in Aruba in the first grade, children learn to read and write for the first time. Young learners of the English language will notice that the 5 vowels in English have 20 vowel sounds. The 44 English phonemes are represented by the 26 letters of the alphabet individually and in combination. These 44 English sounds can be divided into two major categories, vowels and consonants. With these 5 vowels, we could make 12 different sounds. These sounds are called monophthongs. These monophthongs are paired to form diphthongs, 8 of these. In total, there are 20 vowel sounds. Here is a chart with the 20 vowel sounds. Consonants consist of 21 letters excluding the vowels. However, there are 24 consonant sounds. Here is a chart of these 24 consonant sounds. They are categorized into voiced and voiceless sounds. This is our first assignment. The question is, how do you pronounce the word bus in Papiamento? Compared to the pronunciation of this word in English, what do you notice? What about the pronunciation of bus in Dutch and in Spanish? What strikes you? Our next icon is the one about morphology. Morphology is the branch of linguistics that deals with the structure and formation of words in a language. It involves the study of the smallest units of meaning within a language called morphemes and how these morphemes combine to form words. Morphemes can be words or parts of words that carry meaning. Okay, then, to move on, this is the study of the smallest segments of language that carry meaning. For example, you have a word happy, which is an adjective. It becomes happiness by adding the suffix ness, and happiness turns into a noun. Another example, unbreakable. Un is the prefix and able is a suffix, and the root word is break. Together it forms unbreakable. Un meaning something negative, an opposite connotation. Here is our next assignment for morphology. Could you explain the following in your own words? What is the Spanish word for the English word irresponsible? What do you notice? What is the translation of this word in Papiamento and in Dutch? Do you see similarities between the 4 languages? What about differences? Let's talk about formulation of phrases in English. In other words, syntax. English is in SVO language, meaning that the basic word order is subject, verb, and object. Most phrases follow this structure, as you can see in the example. The girl carried the box. The subject is the girl, and verb is carried, and object the box. SVO language. Our next assignment, the question is there a difference between the following sentences? If yes, explain why. The first one, on Saturday night, I remembered I had seen you at the cinema. The second one, I remember I had seen you at the cinema on Saturday night. What's the difference between these sentences? In questions and when a sentence starts with a negative adverb, inversion occurs. The auxiliary or modal verb comes before the subject. The auxiliary verb here is in green. And then we can see this in the example. Did the girl carry the box? The auxiliary verb in green is did. The girl is the subject, carry is the verb, and the object is the box. As you can see here, an inversion occurs, it's a question. Then never have we expected the girl to carry the box. While it's a sentence that starts with a negative adverb, never. Then the auxiliary verb have, then we as subject, verb expected, and then the object is the girl to carry the box. This is our next assignment for syntax. Translated to papiamento. Do you work from Monday to Friday? So, is there inversion in English? Translated into papiamento, is there inversion in papiamento? Translated into Spanish, is there inversion in Spanish? And what about in Dutch? We have come to the end of this part about the introduction to the levels of language analysis in English. On to the next part. Let's do this.